Hi guys, welcome to our channel.
Welcome, family, to our humble abode. This is
Life with the
Darlingtons.
I'm formerly known as Busiso Darlington and I am with my gorgeous wife.
Mamelo Pasiwe. To all those who have subscribed, thank you so much. We love you, truly we do. We appreciate you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And to those who haven't, please do.
Please like, comment and share this video with your friends. Click on the notification bell to know every time we post and officially become part of our family.
Yes. So family, in this video, we just want to have a general conversation about what marriage has been like so far. Did we get married too young? What is too young? What are your thoughts?
Were we too young?
Were we too young? Let's get into the video. So,
Were we too young to get married?
were we too young? Personally, I feel as though we weren't. There are factors that we can argue make us young, right? But I think generally 24, 26, I think people normally get married around those ages. I just think we particularly looked quite young. I'll speak more for myself. I don't know. I think it might be slightly different for you, but particularly for me, I do still look quite young. I just
We
gotten
both still
out
do
of
though.
school.
I mean, you know.
Okay.
Robert was born.
Yeah, oh, I won. I won. I just gotten out of school and we got married. So I think there were a lot of factors in my life. Didn't get that young, but I think 24 was really not. When we did get engaged, maybe we were young then. I think 23, then we might argue, okay, you did get married young. But I think about 24, I just think, it's just pretty acceptable age.
Also, I think, Askisi baby. Also, I think being young is relative, because I think being young, there's being young according to like our peers when we talk about being young, you know. And I think there's a being young also when our parents say, "Hey, man, you guys are quite young."
Okay.
You know, because I would argue that being young according to our peers is what? No, there's still more time to whatever.
Yeah, you want to live your life before you commit and settle
Exactly.
down.
Exactly. So I think being young, another thing, but why would you want to get married now though?
Yeah.
You know? Don't you think maybe you're gonna get bored?
Yeah, I did have a few of those conversations.
You know? What exactly were they and what did you say?
I think for me, I always knew somewhat I'd get married young. So the conversation around marriage has never a thing. Are you sure you want to do it now?
Yeah.
It was just a thing that is going to happen, and I am looking forward to it. You know, so it was never a thing. Okay, am I too young or my life? I think I've always loved the idea of growing with someone. So if I can married at 2021.
Really?
Yeah, I would not have minded at all. Of course, in hindsight, I think it would not have worked out because I was still very, not ready. But then I would not have minded getting married at all. At all. I always knew, like, it's just something I just always was. I think it's a desire that God placed in my heart, because I can't say there is something in my life that inspired that desire. But naturally, I just always loved the idea of marriage, getting married young, and so for me, it was just the thing when and with who.
Yeah, same here actually. But I want to ask you, what was your reason for convincing yourself, if I can put it like that, to wanting to get married young?
Hence I say there isn't something I can point to and say, because I can't really even say I had good examples growing up of marriage around me enough to say I looked up to that couple and I loved that. Not really, so I think it was just the desire placed in my heart by God, solely by God, because even growing up I didn't date enough to say that. Or, do you understand what I'm saying? I don't know if I'm making any sense at all, but yeah, I didn't date. I was not really into boys or dating at all growing up. It was just, I just always...
Were you like into studying or something?
Hey?
Okay, were you like into studying or something?
Man.
Like one of those that are like really like stuck in the books, always reading, studying.
No.
Who were you?
I think even in my teenage years, dating and guys, and I just always, hence I say I can really only tie it to God, because this thing, saving myself and and I think it's something from very a lot of the guys around me were my friends.
Okay.
Not even 9 times out of 10, 10 times out of 10. All the guys around me were in Lebanon and stuff like that. They were all my friends so much. So there was never really any romantic whatever. We all just because you understand what I'm saying? At all. And I think once I started maturing and now realizing, people actually do date, and it is okay to date. It's not a sin to date, but I still did not know how to properly date so much. Also, I could say, but once I started maturing, like I'm saying, intentionally just to date just anyone, because I was so in love with the idea of dating my husband, if you understand what I'm saying.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
That's why I can only tie it to that thing, honestly, because I can't say I grew up really exposed to everyone exposed to a lot of things. And
I wanted to get married young also.
Yeah.
I wanted to get married very young. But my reason for wanting to get married young has always been about, I wanted to grow with my wife, and I think you said it also. I wanted to grow with my wife where every single thing that I achieve in my life, I get to achieve it with my wife. And this might just be wrong to say, but I want to put it out there to say, I've always had this idea in my mind to say, I want to have more excuses to leave my wife, at any point,
Okay.
So for me, in a little, I think to a degree, I wanted my wife to be able to say, you are nothing without me.
Okay.
Because we literally we built it together. If you there is no me without you.
Yeah.
Kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I didn't want to build. You get to this point in your life, and then you meet someone. Another thing was I didn't want somebody to get me at that position in my life, because I feel I felt there wasn't going to be any value, that person I feel wasn't going to value that,
okay.
that we have acquired at that point, simply because like you don't know how it started, you don't know the journey, you don't know what it took,
work put
the
in.
blood, sweat, and the tears, all of those things, And also, thirdly, like I really wanted somebody who can get to know me for me outside of any and everything else, and literally build ourselves together,
Yeah.
Yeah,
so, okay.
But but obviously that's very unpopular also, I mean, to our peers, mo e leng hore vele like, why would you want to get married young? There's so much time. There's so much time for us to be partying. There's so much time to be fooling around and having fun.
I remember having a conversation with a friend of mine, and then ababua something that stuck with me since, and I think it started making sense much later on in my life, and I think today it still does make sense. Then when she said it, I was still very like, maybe even naive in question. I was like, please no, there is just no way, because I was just in love with the idea of marriage. I wasn't married then. I don't even think I'd met you then. But
really,
yeah, I don't think I'd met you then.
Then it's not important.
Okay. I know. Don't even know what I'm gonna say. But Onabua about her mom, how her mom said her parents have a beautiful marriage, ne? Her parents modeled a very beautiful marriage to them, and beautiful. So in Elia she said her mom said, marriage is beautiful. Her mom wasn't advocating against marriage, but she was, however, saying, not but not enjoy. Without making it seem as though I'm saying she was advocating against it. But you know how our moms always say, my mom also used to say even before I met you,
that sense of stability and not having to depend on somebody for
not that really women are depending on their husbands today anyway. But anyway, so
but essentially to be your own person.
Yes. And in being your own person, get to do things when you are in marriage might not be as easy to do. Like, for instance, now that we are married, like, you can't just decide, I know without having me kind of say, yes, let's do it. Same with me. If it can't just be a thing. I just wake up tomorrow and I want to buy my mom a car and I just do it. You know what I'm saying? Contrary to if I was alone, I would just do it, a lot of things, man, but I think maybe that being the main thing, because every other thing we can do together, but the things that you want to do uliwani, that acquiring whatever or making decisions and stuff like that, and really just because marriage is a sacrifice. Marriage is really, it's a sacrifice.
That's right.
It's a sacrifice. Marriage is a sacrifice.
Are you the sacrifice?
Man, marriage is a sacrifice. Marriage is hard work. Marriage is nice as well. Marriage is beautiful. You do get to, do all of these things with your best friend. Like, it's also
we
a thing.
We need to do an update on our marriage journey, actually.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So
I'd like for us to do that. I'm just saying.
Okay.
Sorry.
Cool. Sharp. Just putting it out there. All of these things are true, but I think I'm very grateful actually to have been, I want to say, exposed to the realities of marriage prior to getting married. I was surrounded by a lot of wise people. Like, in hindsight now, actually, even now, I'm so appreciative of all of those people, our godly counsel. Like, they opened our eyes to a lot of things that I think we were quite oblivious to, because we still were very in love with the idea of marriage. Just want to get married. But to a lot of the realities of marriage. It's not just
the journey of
lovey-dovey, and you know what I'm saying. So we did have a lot of conflict that we had to work through. A lot of, and that as well was the realities of what, had we not gone through some of those things.
That's what it means to be together.
Yes. Had we not gone through those things then, Oh man, because I remember even when now
I'm not
I
sure
feel
what
like but let me just say this. No? I remember when we started dating, I hadn't been exposed to like a lot of dating when I'd started dating you. I think I just had the one relationship in varsity, and then there was one in high school that didn't even last a month. So, you know, so um, but yeah, I think it was no. Let me not say that. Let me not. But anyway, so it was just different. It was different, ne? So now okay, when we met, I was still very fairy tale like in my mind. I still had
You
this.
really were.
I
Oh my God, you
okay,
really were.
okay. I still had this fairy tale
I'm gonna tell it.
idea. Whatever,
Oh,
babe. Okay. I still had this fairy tale idea of how it's supposed to be,
yo,
what
baby,
you're supposed to be. Baby, I can go to bed.
you needed to walk on flowers. Do you
Wait.
know that?
Oh my gosh. Let me speak, please. Yeah, so I think our first encounter lit conflict within our relationship. I felt like I started thinking even there's no way that this man can be my husband. This makes no sense. This is not what is supposed to be happening when two people are in love and are meant to be. No, please. Yeah. I don't know if I thought fighting was a thing or was supposed to be a thing, but I just felt like there is just no way. So I was grateful. No. That's when I started realizing the importance of having real conversations around relationships and marriage and, what it takes and what it's actually like, because it felt like a slap in the face for me, honestly. I was just like, there's just no way. This makes no sense. This is not how it's supposed to be.
But with that being said, I
Yeah.
think that's what being young is in the context of our conversation,
Okay. Okay.
Because if you were to like analyze where are you in terms of are you mature, are you not, are you young, are you ready, are you not, where are you?
Yeah.
I think it's those kind of things they then tell you and show you. Because can you honestly say that being young is an age thing?
Okay, I hear what you mean. I hear what you mean. But it also took, or rather not it also took us going through it to actually realize that I wasn't ready. You should understand what I'm saying? Because had we not gone through it, I would not have, I would never have known that I wasn't ready. I still would have felt like I know what marriage is supposed to be like, and that's not it. You are not the right person for me, because there's just no way. You understand what I'm saying?
This is actually a complex thing as I'm thinking about it. Yeah, because I'm also like asking myself now to say, okay, so should people first get into relationships so that they get to go through things before they get married? Or get into relationships, learn as much as you can, and then get married? Because in the conversation, yeah, maturity, being ready, young and old, because what if you're 30 years and you actually get married and you don't know this person, they don't know you, you have not studied anything about marriage, and you go through exactly what you just mentioned now, because
at 30 years old.
Yeah, because what people don't know is that time was really bad for us, eh?
Yeah.
Like that time was like bad. Like,
can't believe it.
Like, bro, like it was going down.
Yeah, I know.
Oh
my gosh.
So what if you are that person but you're 35 years?
Yes, I hear what you mean.
I
definitely hear what you mean. So I feel like that alone, because for me it's also a thing, when we did eventually get married, I started thinking it actually took us getting married, or it takes us getting married, for me to realize how ready or not I am. I don't think you ever will be ready until, had I not dated you and had we not dated, ne, and not have gone through the things that we did go through, I still would be, because, understand, I would not have had an experience, a real relationship, and I still would think, I think despite what would be, okay, share.
No, just conclude there.
Okay, yes. Despite what I would have known, because I think the realities of marriage and the hardships of marriage, they are not spoken about as much, I feel, as they should, because, I think false ideas of marriage, or flawed, not false, but flawed pictures and ideas of marriage are painted and put out there, and not enough is shared. We're not saying that it's not spoken about at all, but I just think not enough is shared to give you that but until we got into that space, then I was more exposed, and then information was available, and then it was like, now we're here.
Do you know what I was smiling about, ne?
What?
I was actually thinking about the night before our wedding. Because
you
for
want
me,
to talk about that?
I think we should actually talk about it at some point.
Okay.
Because I think that was a game changer in our relationship, actually. Here's what I was smiling about. I was actually smiling about how Tsobua, what comes to my mind is this whole thing actually just needs faith, man. Where you said you don't really, okay, this is me paraphrasing.
Yeah.
You don't know what you're actually getting yourself into until you get yourself
into it. That's true, yes.
Right?
Really,
and I'm thinking, so this is us a few years ago dealing with everything we're dealing with. And what I'm actually thinking about, Haunsobuwa, that makes me think about the night before our wedding, is the fact that I feel, and this is just my opinion, I feel that until the day before our wedding, there were so many habits also that we had accustomed ourselves to, from every time, we were busy fighting, but at the same time while fighting and all these things, we are obviously growing in our relationship where, we have all these godly counsels in our lives where, we get to sit down and learn and, be advised. Yeah, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But at the same time though, I feel, because I think what happens, Kore, you develop a sense of a defense mechanism somewhat, but that can birth habits is what I'm trying to say,
Yes.
So I feel like, like, you know what I'm saying? So I feel like that just became a chain until the night before our wedding, where there's a specific moment that happened there.
Yes.
And I believe decisions that were made, where I think the discussion basically is, what exactly do you want out of our marriage? Because that speaks to who I need to be to you and who you need to be to me.
In this very moment. Going forward.
Yeah. So I don't think you can put an age to it.
Yeah.
I don't. Because
that's the same thing, my Askis. That's the thing that my mom said. I think for her, in a little thing, okay, I mean, we can argue that you are young. And a lot of the people that she was telling, mommy's getting married, they were quite like, oh, mommy, the baby lady, mommy, what do you mean? What are you talking about marriage?
Yeah.
Right? And she really got to a point where she started having conversations like, guys,
actually, what's young about
exactly,
her? Yeah.
There is no... you do get people who get married like 30 years old and their marriages still suck. And you get married, people who get married really young. And it's not a thing, you just... You understand what I'm saying? And also, I think, for her, because it is a reality, a lot of Bataba also got married like extremely young back in the day, 19, 16, 18. So it's just a thing, man. It's all just a risk. It really is all just a risk. Yeah.
For me, in the beginning I said I think also being young is relative. Being young to my dad and to my parents, to me, was, the single question my dad asked me was, how much do you have?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I believe in his mind, he was a role model to me, right? And versus having to speak a lot of things to me, of which he did, he had to model life to me, right? So he knew I knew whatever there is to learn in terms of the foundation and, the basics, right? But the most important thing, and this is what Steve Harvey always says also, where he says, women have an emotional clock, but men have a financial clock, So we're sitting here in a relationship, we're 30 years, but I've not figured things out. You're asking yourself, but when are you marrying me? Blah, 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 blah. We've been together for the past 10 years now, But because I don't have things the way that I need them to be financially, which is what builds my confidence, I'm not getting married, So that's exactly what my dad said to me. And he said, how much do you have? And I said, I don't have anything, The business is still starting. We're still trying to, what's going on here? What is this? And I was young, by so saying, because I had nothing to prove that I was ready. I don't know, man. I think this young thing has a lot to do with you being ready. Where are you emotionally, spiritually, financially,
Yeah. But I really, really strongly still believe you'll never really know until you might think, babe, now before we got into a relationship, I felt like I was proper ready for marriage. Like, wife material, you couldn't tell me check, right? You couldn't tell me anything. I was wife material and I was, but it took our relationship for me to actually realize how much I needed to
Can I just interrupt you though?
Yeah.
I think in your defense, what you are saying, Kore, there had been things, you had prepared yourself, Katsona, for you to be at a position where you want to say, actually, I'm ready.
Yes, sure.
I think it's fair to put that out there also. I mean, because you're constantly making decisions about your life. If I do this, what's the consequence to that? If I do that, what's the consequence to that? This is me trying to add value to myself. This is me trying to go through a process of self-development and stuff like that.
Yeah.
At the back of your mind, this is you telling yourself that you're actually getting yourself ready for that one thing.
Yeah.
I hear what you mean. Until you actually get to do it with a human being now.
And you're like, oh.
Yeah, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Where you don't like certain things about me, then that completely takes you off, and then it becomes an explosive fight in our relationship. You didn't know that was coming.
Yeah.
You
didn't even know that you could get to that point.
Exactly. Because halfway there, to support what you're saying, I think you're also discovering certain things about yourself also in Kai.
This conversation, I actually think this conversation we can literally go on for forever, because I really still feel like I have so much to say. But yeah, I think let's end this video now. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you got to the end of this video, please comment. God is good.
But do tell us what you guys think about this conversation. What are your thoughts about being young, getting married young? What does it mean to you? Does it have to do with age? What is it? Let's have a conversation about it further in the comment section. And like the video and share it with your friends. Please join the notification gang once again, so you can know every time we upload a video.
Yes, thank you so much, family. We love you. We will see you again in the next video. Until then,